So as we know, Mr. Trump selected J.D. Vance from Ohio as his running mate. Young guy, 35, super educated, 30, 36, whatever he is. Yale law graduate. The wife, another Yale law graduate. Usha, I think is her name. Both super educated people, lawyers, obviously, which is necessary in Washington. Pretty much everybody's a lawyer in Washington. But I want to do the connection here. I want to do a little bit of a connection. As you guys know, I like Bitcoin. I've liked it for years. And even with the market selling off now, as we can see, Bitcoin had a little dip to like 58,000. Now it's back to 65, 64,000, and it's holding here. Last few times when the market took a beating, Bitcoin took a beating with it. It seems like it's separating itself, and people are just joining the party of like, okay, US dollar is worthless. Okay, if I park my money in Bitcoin, at least it's going to hold its value. Plus, Bitcoin is anti-inflationary, right? Because there is a finite amount of it. It cannot be recreated. It cannot be added to, like we do ourselves with, not ourselves, but the U.S. government with printing the money and adding to the debt going this way, a trillion every 100 days. Well, at least Bitcoin, helps you guys manage, at least hold the value of your money in a spot, park the money, right? So yes, it's volatile. Yes, it goes up and down, but 65,000. And I was thinking about this, and in the past, Trump has said, that Bitcoin is like hocus pocus and this and that. But then it seems like JD Vance, by the way, a massive part of his portfolio is in Bitcoin, because now that he's a public figure, well, he was a public figure, but now that they have like Nancy Pelosi's account is her trades are put up on Twitter and everywhere else. There are actually people following these people's accounts. So he put up his net worth. The bulk of his net worth is in Bitcoin. Smart man right there. So what I'm saying is that the risk on Bitcoin got eliminated, first of all, when Larry Fink, BlackRock, Fidelity, all these people got into it with the ETFs, right? My biggest concern about Bitcoin was that the government one day is going to come and go, okay, no more Bitcoin, because it's only used by drug dealers and it's on the black market, or the dark web to do illegal things and things like that, right? No. So now the government risk is pretty much all gone. That's why Bitcoin took that big leap from about 25,000 to 65, 70,000. And now it's what's been doing. It's been going sideways for like months now, literally. If you guys look at a Bitcoin chart, for me, that's a positive thing. It's not a massive top to fall off of. I think it's going sideways to collect energy for the next move up for another double, or at least 100K, right? So when actually Trump survived the assassination attempt, the next day Bitcoin, that weekend right there, because Bitcoin is traded 24 hours, 7 days a week, Bitcoin was about 59,000 and it jumped to 65, 66,000 because Trump survived the assassination attempt, right? And now it's holding there with the stock market selling off, right? So Trump factor is a positive catalyst for the world's largest cryptocurrency. A Bernstein analyst says, and JD Vance as his running mate further stoked Bitcoin investors' optimism about the prospect of self-proclaimed crypto President Trump. Now, I don't know about this, and this political stuff. My issue is I believe in Bitcoin because there is some sort of nuance and value to it. It has never been hacked, okay, in, I don't know, 14 years now. Everything is transparent. It's on the blockchain, right? Every single transaction. Even if, like what happened to me with Schwab today, Bitcoin ledger is still continuing. It never slows down. Even if we had a global power outage and all the nodes, as they call it, the computers that control the network, go down, it just goes to sleep. Nothing happens. When it comes back up, everything is there and ready to continue, right? So the crypto market interprets a scenario of Trump win as more positive for crypto, and Bitcoin's price is positively correlated with the probability of a Trump presidency. By the way, how many of you think Trump is going to win? And how many of you think Biden is going to win if he's still around after this weekend? Bitcoin is up about 10% to 65,000 since Saturday's failed attempt on Trump's life, correct? Which subsequently boosted his probability of prevailing in November's presidential election. Absolutely. And Bitcoin will continue to be sensitive to the election. Obviously, it's volatile again. But then the volatility is kind of subsiding though now. It's not like the old days that it would go from 10,000 to 60,000 back to 10,000. Now we're just seeing this balance here. The reason for that, obviously, are the ETFs, right? Billions of dollars is going into these ETFs by the public, and it's supporting any pullback. And I talked about this a couple of weeks ago when Germany put up, about 1,400 Bitcoin to sell from drug dealers that they had collected. Yes, the news pushed it from like 65,000 to about 57,000, but all that got absorbed. In the old days, if that many Bitcoins coming to market to be sold would have tanked Bitcoin to like 30,000. So you guys must understand what's happening here. Lastly, among the reasons Trump is seen as more pro-crypto is support for domestic Bitcoin mining, because, Trump believes in a lot of the domestic economy, and obviously the power grid is something that's under scrutiny by the Democrats. They have the green agenda, all that stuff, right? I'm going like, okay, so they've been kind of hurdles. And in fact, last week I gave you guys a trade on Clean Spark Energy and Marathon. Go watch last week's part of my watch lists for the week where I go through stocks. I mean, after that, in 3 days, Clean Spark went from 15 to 21. Mara went from 22 to 28. Yeah, they pulled back a little bit, but I'm giving you guys trades. I'm trying to keep you guys involved in what's happening, because it's not easy to find out stocks. But then today, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do the watch list for you guys because I have no screen. I have zero. I have an idea of what's happening, but I cannot trade because my main trading account is at Schwab, and Schwab is down due to the CrowdStrike issue. Hopefully, see, all these people now are saying that it's not an attack, it's not an internet thing. And I'm going like, I sure hope when I have access to my account somehow, because I tried to call the support. An hour and a half I was on hold, but I had to do the show, so I had to hang up. So I hope my money is there. I shouldn't be laughing, but then when you're like, it hurts really bad, you start laughing. It's like a boxer getting hit in the head with a good shot, and they laugh. I go like, yeah, you only laugh when it hurts. So we'll see what happens. So I'm, I like Trump's attitude about Bitcoin, and I think it's going to continue to party. And so on this subject, we're done with this. Next one. So actually, let's just read a little bit of this, okay? So despite the crypto market's apparent support for presidential regime change, see, this is like the pro versus the con, right? Despite that change, there have been several big wins for Bitcoin under Biden, which is true. What was that? ETFs got created. I mean, think about it. Gary Gensler, the head of the SEC, allowed, after years of denials, right? They allowed for Bitcoin ETFs to get created. So Biden has not been disastrous for Bitcoin. Actually, they've been positive. Since election day 2020, Bitcoin is up almost 400%, correct? Jumping from about under 14,000 to almost 64,000. Most crucially, Biden appointed financial regulators approved the first ever spot Bitcoin exchange traded funds, the ETF by BlackRock, prompting billions of dollars of institutional investment and personal investment into Bitcoin. Much of the crypto community's criticism of the Biden administration has focused on Securities and Exchange Commission Chairman Gary Gensler, another gangster right there, who allows short selling and destroying of good old companies, but then I'm guilty as charged on that as well, who has often been critical of the space. But then he got overruled and Bitcoin was created. And obviously, we know what happened with FTX and Bankman going to, Binance. The both CEOs are in jail. I mean, look, those are the growing pains, a new asset class experiences, right? And it was Bitcoin being used for a lot of shady practices on the dark web? Absolutely. But then those days are gone now. Now this is an institutionalized asset class. When institutions are involved, institutions will not invest in something that they think is going to go away, like poof, disappear, right? The only problem now I see for Bitcoin, that's the only problem I see, okay? It hasn't been hacked for 14 years, the blockchain. So I'm kind of okay with that, because by now, in those last 14 years, everybody got hacked, including the IRS, okay? The only problem I see with Bitcoin now, if there is some code written somewhere that nobody knows, we don't know, we just go with what we know, there's about 21 million of these things out there. And 19 million plus have been already mined. There's only 1.5 million to go, right? So mining is still continuing, but with the halving that is happening, I think every 3 years or so, or whatever it is, the miners are able to mine half as much as Bitcoin as they did before, right? So that's also slowing down, right? So I'm going like, okay, but if tomorrow, God forbid, if somebody comes and says, oh, by the way, we were creating another 10 million, 20 million Bitcoin, right? The reason this thing is holding up and price is going up because it's a finite amount of it exists, unlike the US that can add zeros to its ledger, like Federal Reserve Chairman Powell says, right? So I'm going like, okay, if that happens, then Bitcoin goes to zero. There's no trust left; it will crash. I doubt that. I hope it's not. I hope it's not going to happen. But then you never know. In the markets, things happen. So that's about Bitcoin and its relationship to the current. Well, not current. Actually, yeah, current administration and potentially the new administration in November.